So we'll now start with a new chapter, which is volume and surface area. Now these concepts generally are started in about 4th standard, and then slowly they are developed till they are finally tested rigorously in this particular class. Now there are lots of small basics which many a times we miss out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to discuss a whole lot of concepts one by one, step by step, so that you have a good chance of understanding the main problems as they come, right? So even if you think you know the concept, please have the patience and go through all the basic concepts so that if anything is missing somewhere, it kind of gets corrected. Okay? So we'll start with the most basic concept, which is measurement. So we all take it for granted that we know what is measuring. I'd like you to take a moment and think about what you think is measurement. If I asked you to define measurement, how would you define measurement? Take a pause and think. Alright, so I hope you have the answer. Now see, measurement is essentially comparison. Okay, so its basic definition is, it is the comparison of a physical quantity with a known standard of the same type. It's a loose definition, not a very strict scientific definition, but it is good enough for us. Let's take an example to understand this. Let's say you had a rope or something, right? And you wanted to find what is its length. So what would you do? When we know that we have to find the length, we'll normally take a scale, some kind of a scale, or maybe a long meter measure, a meter tape, right? And then what we'll do, we'll just keep, let's say I've taken a scale or something, I just keep the scale here and say, okay, this much is 1 feet, and then again go ahead, maybe 2 feet, and go again and say, okay, fine. Since this rope is 3 times the length of a foot ruler, therefore this may be 3 feet in length. So what have we done? We have taken a physical quantity of an object, so that's a rope, and we have taken its length in particular. And how have we measured it? We have compared it with a standard which is known as a foot. Now this standard is defined and universally accepted. So earlier, of course, you might have heard people used to have very simple kind of measurement standards. For example, in Hindi, you just have a distance between your thumb and the finger as ek bitta. Okay, it used to be called bitta. And there were so many different units. And every, say, 1,000 kilometers or from country to country, region to region, the name of the measure and the meaning of the measure changed, right? So that used to create a lot of confusion. So after some time, a lot of scientists from different countries came together and they agreed on basic units. Okay, they defined standard units. So feet, meter and all these are some of the standard units. Now coming back to measurement, the key takeaway from this particular session is that measurement is nothing but the comparison of a physical quantity with a known standard of the same type. Okay, so I gave you an example of a rope. You could also take a diverse example. For example, let's say you have to measure the weight of something, right? So let's say you have got a bag of wheat. You've got a bag of wheat and you want to find what its weight is. So we could use a spring balance, or we could use simple weights, right? 1 kg weights and so on. And the simplest one is to use scales and then put on all these weights here. Let's say 4-5 kgs, 5 weights of 5 kgs are here, and 5 kg bag of wheat is on this side. Okay, so again, how are you measuring? You are comparing the weight of this bag with the weight of these standard blocks, which are 1 kg, 500 and so on, right? So as you go forward, there are so many different quantities to measure. Let me list a few. There could be length that you have to measure. There could be mass that you have to measure. There could be time that you have to measure, right? So there's so many physical quantities which need measurement. But in all cases, first we have a standard, and then we take that quantity and compare it to the standard. So that in essence is measurement.